Your expertise is powerful, but is it visible? If you're tired of explaining your brilliance, keep listening. My question for you is, what if you could capture your entire method in one elegant visual framework? A framework that scales, that sells, and it speaks for you. That's exactly what I teach in my Spark method. It's how experts go from hidden genius to a high authority brand. Now, I'd love to walk you through the Spark method because some of these elements you can absolutely start incorporating today. Now, the S of Spark is for self. Define who you serve and why it matters. Yeah, you've done that a million times, I hear you saying, because you've probably heard the stat 80% of buyers prefer personalised brands. Fair enough. But remember that connection starts with clarity. And we need to speak to one, but then resonate with many. So when you start with yourself, it's thinking about what is that internal experience, expertise, the life that's past, that's coming to now, that you are bringing to everybody in your world, in your space. Because it starts with you if you are running your own business. If you are the founder, the sole founder of a service-based business, then you need to start with the self. Spark, the second letter is P, and this stands for premise. So what I mean is we're growing here onto the self aspect, but now I want you to really claim that unique lens and your big idea. Because remember that thought leaders, they don't say more, they just say things differently. And the world absolutely needs more clarity. And so there's one sharp idea you need that's going to cut through all the noise. We need to look at your unique service premise. This is the USP in my world, not the service proposition, not the sales pitch, but what is the underlying premise, the flag in the sand, the element that you stand by that is so important. You help people achieve this through a series of steps to a transformation. What is the premise behind everything you do? For me, it's the power of having authority frameworks in your business, which I'm walking you through right now, which is why I'm talking about it, because I absolutely understand and know from various research, which I'm about to share as we move into the A of Spark, which is for art. Because for me, frameworks, they're not just conceptual, they're not just visual. They have to have that deeper underlying understanding. So yes, they are visual. They are visual frameworks. They might have an acronym, like Spark has an acronym, but it's based on grounded expertise. I've worked with entrepreneurs over 25 years now online, and I see that when we create the framework, it's not just a simple, fast exercise. We dig deep, we go deeper. It's not the packaging, that's personal branding. That's like the outer skin. Your framework goes deeper. And when we look at the A in art, and this is about turning your process into this visual framework that you can share up on those screens when you're talking and giving keynotes. It's this slide that everyone comes and takes the picture of because it's the anchor of the message in your brain. Because when we can visualize our process, our method, it creates those visual memory hooks. And this is why a lot of research, and one in particular, has shown that 65% of memory retention is higher when we've seen things visually opposed to words alone. And as Dan Roam, who wrote the Back of the Napkin books talking about visual frameworks as well, also wrote, he says, whoever draws it wins. And what he means there is when you draw out your process, it sticks in your head. Absolutely. Because your visual framework becomes your brand shorthand. I'll share mine at the end. So R is for relevance. And what do I mean by this? It's not just about having a method and a process. We need to align your offers with your process. The two have to sort of intersect together. And brands with message consistency have been shown to grow their revenue 23 times faster. That was a report in Lucid Press. And I can well believe it, because stickiness, about having to repeat a message again and again and again and again, is so important. Because as the host of the message, as the creator of the messaging, you might be thinking, oh my gosh, I've said this so many times, people must be bored of it by now. But the reality is most people don't see all that content, all the messaging that you're putting out there. So you need to repeat the message again and again and again, but in a way that is relevant. So when I'm working with my clients, I'm often asking them to share those micro moments of what it looks like for their clients. So you've got that resonance in your messaging. So if you're working with professional women, you are pulling into what's an everyday situation that your solution can help them with. So if it's, are they forgetting their keys? Are they feeling completely disorientated? How can you help them do that? And first of all, share that scenario, then present your solution. So what we want to really delve into is the knowledge that confused buyers don't convert. You've got to have an energy of certainty, of belief that the thing that you are offering for sale, your service, will absolutely provide the transformation you promise. This is why guarantees are so important, even with service-based businesses. Now, it doesn't need to be a money-back guarantee. It could be a satisfaction guarantee. But you've got to believe that your method, your process, will produce that transformation in the time that you've said. So you want to let your framework fuel your offer. And finally, the fifth step in Spark, the K, is for kudos. Because we want to use your framework to really magnetize your audience and gain that recognition. So it's bandied around quite a lot. Like people go, oh, I'm going to be a thought leader. The reality of it is you don't put that label on yourself. Thought leaders get defined by their consistency, their relevancy, their proof, their credibility over a long period of time. Because when you create your framework, your process, this is what you're building. You're building your legacy in your IP. And some of the best known thought leaders, and they are thought leaders in the various industries today, will have a framework behind them that their books are written on, their talk is presented by. And this is the importance that if you want a long-term, viable, sustainable business, you need to build your legacy IP, your assets, your framework. Because we're not about viral posts. We're not about, the influencer, the celebrity of the moment where they shoot up, they're famous, and then they might dive the next day. It's the one-hit wonders. That is not what business owning is about. It's about solid consistency and growth and bringing in profits over fame for most people. Yes, if you become a well-known thought leader, you will have fame associated by that. But it's highly likely just specifically in your industry rather than the bigger universe as a whole. But ultimately, your framework can turn from a message into a movement. And this has happened. And it can for you as well. So right now, I'm just going to pull up next to me here, by the magic of trickery, my Spark Method framework that you can see is a 5-pointed, unique branded star with these 5 elements of self, premise, art, relevance, and kudos all in there. So my question for you, are you ready to transform that invisible expertise into something that's visible, an asset that is going to take your business and be the central spine of your business with everything that you do moving forwards, whether it's your content, your offers, your books, or your talks? Think about it. And if you would like support, I would love to support you. And a really good thing to get going with actually right now is to check out what your natural authority style is. I've got a free quiz. It's linked below the video. And what this will tell you is when you're thinking about your framework, when you're thinking about how to put out your offers out there, is what's your natural style of content creation? How do you naturally show up? How do you naturally transfer your knowledge? How do you naturally collect your knowledge? Because we're not all built the same. And I don't believe in cookie cutter templates. But your natural authority style is something you do need to lean into. And there's 4 animals that you'll get designated between. I am personally a hummingbird stroke dolphin, but maybe you're an owl or maybe a squirrel. There's the 4 main types. And if you're still developing your authority voice, you might still have a strong chameleon phase set within you. So take the quiz and see where you're at, then try and figure out how can we make your expertise more powerful. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next show. I've been Susanna Ray, your authority architect who spends sparks flying globally and has done for the last 25 years online.